Hi guys, today I'm doing Iready reading. This is a new video maker. If it's noisy, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure it's not noisy.
Let's give more teens a voice by Ellie Lagata.
Okay, we have to put these two on. There and there. Yes.
The two passages in this lesson are written from the points of view of two different young people about an issue important to people in their late teens. As 16-year-olds, my friends and I are gaining independence. We are planning for our futures and making up our own minds about important issues. Many of us drive, and some of us hold part-time jobs and manage the earnings from our wages. But there's one part of life where we don't have much say. We don't get to vote.
Okay, next one.
In some communities, however, youth voting might be catching on. In 2013, Tacoma Park, Maryland became the first U.S. community to lower the voting age from 18 to 16 for local elections. What a great idea! Every town and city should follow that community's lead. And I think 16 and 17-year-olds should be allowed to vote in state and national elections too.
Fill in the blanks to explain the author's argument and first claim.
The author's argument is that 16 and 17 years old should be able to vote. She says that they are gaining independence. She supports this claim with the fact that many 16 and 17-year-olds drive and have jobs, and with an example of one community that lowered the voting age.
First of all, many teens work and pay taxes on the income from their jobs. Those taxes contribute to the money the government uses to pay for all sorts of things, from schools and roads to police and fire departments. Adults can use the power of voting to have a say in how their tax dollars are spent. But youths, even those who work and pay taxes, don't get a say in these decisions. That just isn't fair. Additionally, as young people, we will be impacted in the future by decisions made by our government today. For example, current policies about the environment, healthcare, college, and job training programs will have significant effects on our adult lives. We will have to live with the consequences of those decisions for years, but we don't have any say in these policies today.
Okay, we're going to go on to the next question.
Add the author's second claim to complete the chart.
Many 16 and 17-year-olds pay taxes. Teens will be affected by the government's decisions. Teens should have a say in the government. Yeah.
A major benefit of lowering the voting age to 16 is that it will increase voter participation in elections. High voter participation is important because it helps to ensure that the choices the government makes truly reflect what people want. Unfortunately, many people do not exercise their right to vote. Young people, on the other hand, are excited about voting, and they vote at high rates. For instance, let's look at Tacoma Park's first election in which 16 and 17-year-olds took part. Of those in that age group who were registered to vote, nearly 44% cast ballots. That number may seem low, but compared to the measly 10% of total registered voters who showed up, that's actually a pretty high turnout. Furthermore, according to Temple University psychology professor Lawrence Steinberg, there is evidence that people who don't vote the first time they're eligible are less likely to cast ballots regularly in the future. Translation: voting young may lead to voting more in later life. The 16 and 17-year-olds who are excited about voting today will become tomorrow's dedicated older voters, and a commitment by citizens to voting leads to stronger communities where more people's needs are met.
Okay, next.
Add a second piece of evidence the author uses to support the claim in the chart.
Young people are very excited about voting. Lowering the voting age will increase voter participation. Voting young may lead to more adult voters.
Loud, somebody understand.
Furthermore, according to Temple University psychology professor Lawrence Steinberg,
This one.
some adults think youth suffrage is a bad idea, though. They claim that teenagers will be pressured by their friends to vote a certain way. That just isn't the case. I think adults worry too much about peer pressure. Others, like my older brother Derek, say teens are too impulsive to make good voting decisions. But that's incorrect as well. True, 16 and 17-year-olds sometimes act on sudden feelings. When things get emotional or quick thinking is required, our decision-making isn't always great. But voting isn't a quick decision. It's something you can plan for. And it turns out that we are as good at making sound choices as older people. Referring to research on brain development, Professor Steinberg wrote that, in unhurried decision-making, a 16-year-old's judgment is likely to be as mature as that of adults.
Fill in the blanks to identify opposing claims to the argument that 16 and 17-year-olds should be allowed to vote.
The first opposing claim is that peer pressure will affect how teens vote. The second opposing claim is that teens will not make good voting decisions because they act on sudden feelings. Yes.
Add the third and final claim the author makes to support her argument that lowering the voting age is a good idea.
16 and 17-year-olds should be allowed to vote. 16 and 17-year-olds should have a say in the government. Voting young increases voter participation. Teens' decision-making is mature enough for them to vote responsibly.
What happened? What's up?
Why Youth Isn't Ready for the Vote by Stephen Baxter. Read carefully. You only get one try to answer each question.
Recently, my younger 16-year-old sister Hannah has joined the push for lowering the voting age from 18 to 16. When I was her age, I would have thought youth voting made sense too. After all, everyone, no matter their age, likes to feel their voices being heard and their opinion counts. But now that I'm 20, I've looked into the issue and, sorry Hannah, I've come to the conclusion that 16 and 17-year-olds should not gain voting rights. They are just not ready for it.
What is the author's argument?
Everyone wants their voice and opinion to count. The author's sister is in favor of youth voting rights. 16 and 17-year-olds should not gain voting rights.
One of the biggest reasons to keep the minimum voting age at 18 is that the brains of teens a year or two younger need more time to develop the reasoning skills voting requires. Some people disagree, including my sister and Professor Lawrence Steinberg. He is a Temple University psychologist who believes that a 16-year-old's brain has matured enough to make informed decisions when voting. However, Professor Steinberg overlooks some important points.
Fill in the blanks to identify the author's first claim and an opposing claim.
The author supports his argument with the claim that a 16-year-old needs more time to develop. He also includes a opposing claim that a person's brain at 16 years old is mature enough to vote.
A team of scientists who study how the human brain works thinks that life experiences are what help teens develop their brains for adult-like decision-making. Think about that. Most 16 and 17-year-olds don't have much experience making important decisions on their own. Take my sister, for example. Like many young people, Hannah often looks to adults for help. Family members, teachers, and counselors help her decide what courses to take, how to manage her time, and how to plan out her future. Over the next few years, Hannah will start to make more choices independently, like I did. Some decisions will prove to be mistakes, and others will work out, but she will learn from all of them. By the time she's 18, she'll be wiser and more mature. Then she'll be ready to vote.
Add the author's second claim to complete the chart.
Family members should help teens make important decisions. Hannah will learn from her mistakes, just like the author did. 16 and 17 years old will be wiser and more mature when they're 18. Some decisions are mistakes, and others will work out. I think it's this one.
Jack Pitney, professor of politics at Claremont McKenna College, points out that the experiences we have as adults also show us how government affects our lives. This gives adults a special appreciation for voting issues. For example, now that I'm older and on my own, I'm figuring out a lot about how the world works. I rent an apartment, so I've had to learn about my rights and responsibilities as a renter, which are controlled by state and local governments. I've also had to figure out the government-issued student loans that are helping me pay for the classes I'm taking at my local community college. Teens under 18 haven't had the opportunity to make these kinds of connections yet.
Then you see properly and sentence how do they explain.
Add a second piece of evidence the author uses to support the claim in the chart.
The author has a special appreciation for voting issues. The author took classes to learn more about voting. The author learned about his rights and his responsibilities when he was older.
My final strike against youth suffrage is that the world isn't ready for it. Only 12 out of about 200 countries grant any form of voting right to 16-year-olds. That's a mere 6% of these nations. The 16 and 17-year-olds I know are responsible and thoughtful people with great ideas and passion for the issues they care about. However, they need a couple more years to develop their minds and expand their life experiences, so they will be better prepared for the huge responsibilities that will come with voting. P.S. Hannah, do you forgive me?
What does the author want you to conclude from the underlined fact in the passage?
Youth voting is uncommon in the world. Many countries think youth voting is a good idea. Many countries will adopt youth voting. Eventually,
More country, not many.
Oh.
What you reading?
Voting rights everywhere will continue to change. I think it's this one. Wait, underline. Yes, that one.
Add the third and final claim the author makes to support his argument that youth voting is a bad idea.
Many youths are responsible and thoughtful. Young teens are not yet wise adults. Voting is a huge responsibility. They did say this one was it, so this is based off the text. So if I get it wrong, it's not my fault. Okay, bye guys, that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you!